orientation. And we deem it necessary to really implement something that would address the life skills development of our learners, which would be good or beneficial for their mental health. Okay, kaya po yung mga nagsasabi na bakit tayo nagdagdag ng homeroom guidance sa panahon ng pandemic? Well, I think we have to really appreciate this as an information component of mental health. Okay? Yung po yung dahilan bakit tayo may homeroom guidance sa gitna ng pandemic. And these are the skills being developed by homeroom guidance alone, which cannot be found in other learning area. Okay, so I hope you are appreciating the beauty of having homeroom guidance. But we know that, of course, there are birth pains and there are some struggles to consider. So why homeroom guidance? Of course, just like what I've mentioned, this is an information component of mental health, which is very important during this pandemic. Okay. May I see those who are just designated or appointed as regional supervisor in charge of homeroom guidance this year? Maybe you can raise your, you can hit the raise hand button there. Okay, yeah. Oo. Yeah, during our first orientation, we need to really to have a very clear context of what homeroom guidance is, no? Pag sabi nating homeroom guidance, it is just part of the guidance and counseling services. Pag sabi nating guidance and counseling services, sandali I had to mute someone kasi para malinaw ako. Okay, when you talk about guidance and counseling services, this is just a sample illustration of how it goes, no? So the huge chunk of the work of guidance counselor is of course counseling. Okay? Naging professional yan, naging RGC yan upang mag-counseling, hindi upang gumawa ng ibang non-guidance related tasks. Okay? But of course, we know the reality, ano? Then we have the information service. We have the information service. This is an information dissemination service of guidance wherein those vital informations helpful in the life skills development, in the for the students to overcome challenges or even concerns personally in career, in academics. This is covered by information service. Now, the individual inventory, this is just a crash discussion lang ha, kasi I can discuss this the whole day, kaya lang hindi naman ito yung focus natin, ano, that's another venue. Okay, individual inventory, this is where the guidance counselor interviews students to really assess their risk of having malfunctioning behavior, or even if they are going through something, then this is the individual inventory. So kapag nag-routine interview si counselor or nag-exit interview, that's part of the individual inventory, and only the guidance counselor could actually access the data for that. And then of course the follow-up whenever the counselor calls for another session just to check how the students are functioning after counseling or after subscribing from guidance and counseling services. And then of course we have research and evaluation, wherein guidance counselor is doing research to make an intervention on certain phenomenon. No? For instance, there's bullying is rampant in the school. So for the guidance counselor to make an intervention, he or she needs to make a research on that to tailor fit the intervention for the school. They also need to evaluate the guidance program, its relevance, and benefits to the target population, which is the school community. And then the placement service, ito po yung tinatawag din nating career guidance program, no? Wherein the guidance counselor is guiding or even assisting our graduating or even those who will be choosing their curriculum exit or career track and strand. Dito po yan sa placement service. Okay? At kasama din po dyan yung career consultation, career counseling, and curriculum exit assistance. No? Of course, consultation, guidance counselor is deemed as the mental health professional inside the school. Therefore, any behavioral concerns or even clarifications, siya po ang dapat kinakausap ng administrators, students, parents, and teachers. Of course, we do have the psychological assessment, though we know that we don't have psychological tests in school, no? But it's not only the psychological test being used here, we also take into account the academic performance, the observations, the demographics of the students, no? For us to understand where the students are coming from. And of course, we do referral. We refer students for those that have clinical conditions to the right professionals, for instance, psychiatrists, psychologists, or even neurologists, no? Counselors and teachers, administrators, and parents could actually refer their students to the guidance counselor for counseling. But if it goes beyond the specialization of guidance counselor, for instance, they are already showing clinical conditions, then that's the time that counselor must refer the students to outside expert. Okay? Yung mga counselors dito, of course, we have to be mindful of our limitations. We don't want to mess with our students or client. That's why whenever the case of our students is beyond our specialization, okay, ako as a practicing counselor, I don't really, I know and I am very mindful if I cannot help the student simply because it's not my specialization. Okay, so I encourage also my fellow RGCs here to do the same because we always advocate, of course, na yung do no harm to our clients, no? And it's the same principle whenever we do counseling. So where is homeroom guidance here? Homeroom guidance is just part of the information service. So kung napapansin po ninyo, yung homeroom guidance is an information component of mental health. Hence, under po siya ng information service. Tatanungin nyo, sir, bakit hindi na lang guidance counselor mag-implement ang homeroom guidance sa loob ng klase? Of course, we know the scarcity of guidance counselor and they cannot do it alone. Okay? In other private school, for instance, in a private school where I came from before 6 years ago, no, before joining DepEd, guidance counselor is the one conducting the homeroom. We call it guidance class, no, sa ibang school, or homeroom guidance inside the class, and it's really once a week, once a month rather, and but that's the ideal setup, no. Of course, we cannot compare it with the setup of DepEd. So, whenever homeroom guidance is being talked about, we can always associate it as one of the guidance and counseling services, but that's just under information service. Okay, why homeroom guidance? I just presented the right context for you to really appreciate homeroom guidance, no? But why homeroom guidance? During the crafting and development of the curriculum, of course, we took note of the different concerns that our students are facing. So we have the academic failures, school dropouts, bullying, drug addiction, unhealthy sexual behavior, online and social media addiction, confused career choices, teenage pregnancy and vices, and other challenges. So these are the issues that we took into account and we considered while crafting the homeroom guidance. We want to address these issues, and we know for a fact that other learning areas cannot address this alone. No? Ang sinasabi lang natin, though there are topics, for instance in CSE or comprehensive sexuality education, there are topics for teenage pregnancy, for unhealthy sexual behavior, etc. In MAPE, there is also drug addiction. Bullying is discussed in other learning areas such as values education. But in our learning area, these issues were incorporated and have been considered for us to equip our learners with the right life skills not to overcome these challenges. Hence, there is homeroom guidance. So when I hope no that we promote the right information on the reason behind homeroom guidance, kasi yung iba, yung mga hindi nakakaintindi na idagdag at burden lang yan sa mga eskwelahan, then we have to enlighten them. No, we have to shed light na ang homeroom guidance ay nag-a-address ng iba't ibang issue ng bata at kabataan. Okay? So, what does homeroom guidance really do in terms of the of its content? No, homeroom guidance actually promotes rational thinking, healthy behavior, and positive disposition. Ang sinasabi lang natin dito, pag sabi natin rational thinking, students will be able to think logically. Their decisions will be based on data and existing facts. When you say healthy behavior, meaning to say they are doing something for their own good, meaning to say vices and other unhealthy behavior will be prevented, and they will be doing the things that will be helpful for their development. For instance, choosing the right activities wherein they can develop themselves. Ganun din naman kapag if they want to belong to a certain group, then they can have those people na whom they think could actually help them to become better. No, for instance, in terms of academics, in terms of relationships, in terms of career development. And of course, positive disposition. This is very important nowadays, no? Kasi with the negative things happening around, actually on Facebook, nakikita natin na parang na siyang parang ako everyday na lang may mga kaibigan ako o kakilala or even kasamahan, no? Or tayo, kasamahan natin sa DepEd, ang daming naka-block lagi yung kanilang profile pic, which signifies that they lost someone. It's not good to see, and it's really affecting the way we see life, the way we see things, and the way we possess hope, no? And magandang i-foster natin yung positive disposition nowadays for our learners, for them to still believe that there is hope, that there is a chance for us to overcome this pandemic. Okay? At yun po yung ginagawa ng homeroom guidance. Okay? Through the modules or activities that we are doing. For us to understand where the homeroom guidance is coming from, of course, you need to understand its philosophy. At ano ba saan ba nanggagaling yung mga nag-craft ng homeroom guidance? O ang homeroom guidance per se. Homeroom guidance believes that every learner is unique and has the ability to develop him or herself using his or her own learning and experiences from family, community, school, and society. This shall be realized through the collaborative efforts of family, school, community, government, and other institutions. I would like to unpack this a little bit, no? Sinasabi lang natin dito that every learner is unique. May kanya-kanya silang potensyal, may kanya-kanya silang pagkatao, and has the ability to develop. Of course, we are not looking at learners as tabula rasa. Of course, they have abilities to develop themselves or to learn from their experiences. Okay? At yun ay nanggagaling sa family, community, school, and society. At alam natin na hindi natin to kakayanin na mag-isa lang sa DepEd. We need the help of family, school, community, government, and other institutions. So ito po yung saligang paniniwala ng Homeroom Guidance, no? In terms of why we have to conduct Homeroom Guidance. So what about the end product of Homeroom Guidance? Sinasabi natin that Homeroom Guidance is actually complementing the K-12 overall goal, no, which is holistically develop Filipinos with 21st century skills. In the context of Homeroom Guidance, it is actually to produce holistically developed Filipinos. Ano ibig sabihin natin ng holistically developed Filipinos pagdating sa Homeroom Guidance? Sila yung mga bata na who can achieve academic success, demonstrate healthy behavior, exemplify positive disposition, and systematically plan for their future or their future. Ang sinasabi lang natin na tayo ay nagko-contribute sa K-12 goal by having these things: achieve academic success, demonstrate healthy behavior, exemplify positive disposition, and systematically plan for their future. So it shall produce learners who can work for the common good of society while upholding the international standards. So sinasabi lang natin na lahat ito ay para sa ikabubuti ng lipunan at alinsunod sa international standards. Okay, now, paano natin makukuha, or how are we going to attain the vision? Of course, we have the mission. This is the how, no? So Homeroom Guidance is dedicated to address the academic, personal, social, and career development needs of the learners in a developmental, comprehensive, and proactive manner. Meaning to say, makakamit natin yung vision na yon o yung tunguhin na yon kung i-address natin yung academic needs ng bata. And this pertains to the study habits, the academic attitude of the learners, the learning styles, etc., etc. No? Of course, personal and social issues. If we address those things, for instance, yung bullying, sexuality confusion rather, overcoming bullying, romantic relationship, sibling rivalry, and many more. No? And of course, career development. If we need to address the career needs of our learners by informing them and letting them experience such realization for them to choose whatever career track or strand they want to go. And we are doing this in a developmental. Pag sabi natin developmental, meaning to say kinder to grade 12, inaalalayan natin ang mga bata o kabataan. Comprehensive in such a way that we address the different domains, no, that I've mentioned already, and proactive because we are equipping them with life skills that they can use for their life, no? Okay, now, in a nutshell, this is how it looks like. So, yung curriculum framework natin, of course, we always, in many of the curriculum works that we did, no, we always consider the needs of the learners. Hindi natin pwedeng walang bahala yan, ano. Yung nag-raise ng hand, I will address that later, after my talk. Maybe you can just chat your question so you won't forget that. Okay? Needs of the learners, Philippine society, and global society. So these are the things that that we look into and accounted for during the crafting of this curriculum. Of course, we have the legal basis. Everything has to be legal, right? So, more especially that we are in the public service. So, we have the 1987 Constitution, the RA 10533, RA 9155, etc. And of course, a different DepEd issuances. We are also guided by the theoretical basis in terms of the three domains. We have Crombold, Super, and Ginsberg for career development. Brunner's scaffolding, of course, this is being used for academic domain. Erickson's psychosocial development theory, this is for the personal social domain, more especially the developmental crisis of each learner. And Rousseau's learner-centered theory, this is for academic domain, and Piaget's cognitive learning theory, this is for cognitive domain. So having this basis, we now came up with the homeroom guidance. Ito po yung nakikita niyo sa gitna, which has three domains. So the academic development domain, yan. Sorry, I have to mute someone kasi medyo na-distract ako. Ayan. So we have the academic development domain, we have the personal and social development domain, and the career development domain. As you can see, continuous po yung arrow. Why? Because it is a lifelong learning process, no? Kahit tayong adults, we still learn, we still need to get into graduate school, we still attend seminars, we still undergo workshops to really feed our academic or even cognitive faculties, no? We also yeah. May I ask everyone to be mindful of their mics, no, para hindi po tayo nadidistract. All right. Another thing is yung career development domain. Of course, our learners need to understand how and where to go. And that means that we need to equip them with the right information, with the right learning opportunities for them to realize ano ba talaga ang gusto nila. Okay, of course, the personal and social development domain, these are the things that we always have. No? For instance, our view about life, about our friends, about maybe personal issues. Okay, so kung napapansin po ninyo, even as adults, no, we also have these domains to address. Of course, ang sakop lang natin ay basic education, kaya hanggang grade 12 lang. And these domains should be collaboratively addressed by home, community and other institutions, and school. Yung community and other institutions medyo limited tayo kasi nga walang face-to-face. So ang nangyayari lang, home and school lang talaga for now. But yung iba, with the help of LGU, natutulungan din sila. So nagkakaroon ng collaboration. And for us, we are doing this for us to have a holistically developed Filipinos. And I already articulated how we contextualize our definition of holistically developed Filipinos. So sinasabi natin ang homeroom guidance, kaya yan nagsisimula sa kinder hanggang grade 12, it is a comprehensive, developmental, and proactive program that has standards and competencies that cut across all grade levels. The competency indicators are arranged from simple to complex and focus on the development of higher order thinking, such as analyzing and evaluating concepts, processes, procedures, and principles rather than just remembering. So these are the theories for academic domain. Okay. I won't be discussing that kasi these are relevant theories na I know that you already encountered, no? And I discussed it before yung unang salbo ng ating orientation. I have a different focus now. So, of course, the personal and social domain and the career development domain. Actually, sa career guidance program, we are looking at the theory of crumbles as well, no? At of course, napakaganda ng theory ni Ginsberg's sa career development, and maybe in the future or in the orientation that we will have, we will try to elucidate more on this. So these are the standards. So sinabi natin, it cuts Homeroom Guidance standards cut across all grade levels. Ang ibig sabihin, itong mga standards na ito ay the same from kinder to grade 12. Okay? So mula sa understanding level hanggang sa developing academic skills to respond to community. Okay, so these are the four standards under academic domain. So under each standard, there are competencies. Again, standards, then competencies. Okay? So for instance, sa standard 1 ng academic domain, andyan yung identify the methods of effective study habits hanggang sa share knowledge, skills, and positive attitude, helpful in lifelong learning. Sa standard 2, ito din po yung tatlong competencies. Standard 3, ito po yung tatlong competencies. I won't be discussing this in details. Actually, doon sa ating MELPS na nilabas, sa mga naghahanap pala ng MELPS, actually kasama na siyang nailabas ng lahat ng learning area. Okay? Yung mga common queries yan actually ng mga regional supervisor, no? At ng division supervisor. Kasama na po siyang nailabas ng mga learning areas. So hindi po siya hindi po siya separated. Okay? So these are the standards under personal social domain. Understand the importance of oneself and others hanggang sa enrich ability to share oneself to respond to international standards. So this standard has 4 competencies. Standard 2 has 3 competencies. Okay. Yan. So ito din po yung ika-4 na standard with 4 competencies. For the standards for career domain, we also have 4 standards, no? From understanding the importance of knowledge, skills, and positive attitude helpful to daily living, hanggang sa implement steps toward the realization of chosen profession and vocation based on international standards. Okay, now, so this under standard 1 ng career domain, we have 2 competencies. Identify factors related to life and profession. Kung napapansin nyo, paano gagawin ng kinder yan? Okay? So mamaya ipapakita ko sa inyo kung paano pa siya binibreak into key stage. Okay? Explain the significance of knowledge and skills needed in life and profession. So kung napapansin nyo, I want you to be mindful on how the competencies are stated here. Medyo broad siya. Okay? Standard competencies. At by now, I think you are realizing that we're not following the template of the regular curriculum guide. Kasi sa regular curriculum guide, mag-uumpisa ka lagi sa content standard, performance standard, learning competencies, di ba? So tayo, nagsimula tayo sa standard, then competencies. So this is the standard 2 with 4 competencies, third standard with 3 competencies, and fourth standard with 4 competencies. So sir, paano siya na-i-break into key stage? Kasi natin siya eh. We have competencies for kinder, then for primary level, we have curriculum guide for them. At isa lang yon. And then intermediate, we also have that. And then for high school, for junior high school and senior high school, for junior high school rather, grade 7 to 10, iisa ang curriculum guide. Ganun din ang senior high school. So kung napapansin nyo, I want you to really focus on this para hindi kayo masyadong, para pag tinanong kayo ng inyong mga colleagues, ay sasagot nyo sila. So we have the standard here. We have the competency. And then yung competency, binrake siya into smaller tidbits. We have the competency indicators. So under one competency, may 3 competency indicators. Okay, again, this is for grades 4 to 6. Sir, paano yan? Bakit naman similar sa 4 to 6? Okay, again, itong competency indicators, kapag in-unpack yan sa module, nagkakaiba-iba po yan. Iba ang grade 4, iba ang grade 5, iba ang grade 6. Kasi nagkaroon kami ng objective mapping, no, for this para lang maipakita na magkakaiba. Subalit, hindi sila naghihiwalay. Why is that so? Number one, we think that no standards or even competencies can be mastered in just a year or two. Remember, we believe that life skills take a lifelong process. So therefore, kung ano dapat ang di-develop natin sa kinder ay dapat ganun din ang di-develop sa grade 12. So balit, nagkakaiba-iba ng level of complexity. Therefore, developmental and comprehensive po yan. Lalong-lalo na yung developmental kasi we are using the same standard competency but the competency indicators vary. At ito po yung code. So, dahil nga po hindi tayo naglabas, we are supposed to have a full-blown curriculum guide for homeroom guidance. Kaya lang po, due to pandemic, we were instructed to have it in MELTS form. Okay, kaya kung napansin po ninyo, yung MELTS na na-publish, hindi pa po yun yung buong curriculum guide. Shortened po yan o toned down. Okay? So homeroom guidance is essential to ensure access to quality guidance and counseling services for all types of learners. Kahit man lang sa mga learning activities na nasa module, may bigyan natin sila ng opportunity to learn their life skills. Now, for kinder, ito po yung sinasabi namin na toned down siya. These are, doon sa HG curriculum guide, these are the number of competencies per domain. So kung napapansin nyo, ang total niya dapat ay 59. Pero pagdating dito sa MELTS, naging 24 na lang siya. Okay? So talagang nag-trim down tayo. Ito yung nilabas nating MELTS. Ito yung nilabas nating MELTS. So dito po, yung competency indicators, ginawa nating most essential learning competency. Okay? So kung napapansin nyo, naglagay tayo ng week time allotment at yung code. So ito po yung itsura ng makikita nyo dapat sa MELTS ng homeroom guidance. Now, if you don't have, we are willing to resend it, no? Kasi naibigay na siya before pa. So sa mga bago lang po dito, be guided ng inyong MELTS. Okay? For the primary level, that's grades 1 to 3, from 66 learning competency indicators, naging 33 na lang. So a huge chunk, no? Ang nabawas. 50% lang po ang natira. Okay? And we are working on the depth and order of homeroom guidance para naman po pag nag-full blast implementation tayo ay buo na siya sa lahat. Okay, so this is the primary grade level. Yung MELTS niya, ito po yun. I'm just showing you a segment ha, kasi may buo naman tayo nito. For intermediate level, meaning to say for grades 4 to 6, from 103 competency indicators, naging 35 na lang po. Okay? Yan. So, for junior high school, from 91 learning competency indicators, no, naging 36 na lang. So kung napapansin nyo, mas mataas ang personal and social. Bakit? Kasi sa panahon ngayon na pandemic, affected talaga ang mental health ng bata. That's why we are trying to address the personal and social domain than the academic and career domain. So this is for junior high school. We will be giving you the PowerPoint, no, para pag nag-cascade kayo ay madali na lang po kayo. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, no, or even the PowerPoint. Okay, we just need ang sinasabi lang namin lagi, please attribute it kung kanino nang galing. Huwag niyong babaguhin yung mga templates and everything, no, dahil nga yan ay galing sa central office. Then for the senior high school, from the 53 learning competency indicators, naging 15 na lang. So talagang ang laki ng binawas natin at nag-focus na lang tayo sa personal and social. Yan, ito yung sample ng MELCs ng Homeroom Guidance for grades 11 and 12. Again, kung wala kayong kopya and you want a copy, we will be sending it to all of you. Kindly mute your mic dun sa... Let me mute them. Okay. Now, so, ang total niyan, ito po yun, pag tinignan ninyo, grades 11, kinder to grade 12, 402 lang ang learning competencies or ang competency indicators nila. Okay, now, ano yung alignment niyan? Ito yung pinakamahalaga kasi ngayon, lalo na doon sa magdi-develop ng homeroom guidance module. Okay lang po yun kasi we understand kung anong nangyayari sa baba. But please know that you have to follow yung instructional design ng homeroom guidance. And ano yung instructional design na pinapollow ng homeroom guidance? Yung structured learning experience or SLE. You cannot change the instructional design at i-shortcut ninyo dahil sa tingin nyo ay shortcut dapat. Hindi po. We are following certain psychological process here from the motivation up to the reflection part. Simply because that's really how the structured learning experience flows, no? So hindi siya pwedeng tanggalin na lang yung motivation diretso na sa event, sa activity, etc. So, for homeroom guidance MELCs, ito pang pinapollow natin. Kung napansin nyo, medyo mataas talaga yung academic, personal, social domain ngayong pandemic edition. No? So, kung napansin niyo, we will be releasing also yung mga, though yung module naman ay naka-tailored fit na doon sa, yung available module alam ko namang kulang at huwag nyo nang ulitin kasi may ibang in charge po dyan, hindi po BCD. Okay? Yung first and second quarter kami po talaga ang may kagagawan nun. Yung third and fourth, kinuha po ng BLR yun. So, yung MELCs natin, kung napansin nyo, bawat topic ay may nakalagay na week, no? Or bawat, may mga pagkakataon na yung competency indicators ay naka week 3, week 4, no? Pero may mga pagkakataon na kino-condense or dito, pinagsasama, lalo na kung same domain sila. Definitely kapag magkaibang domain, hindi natin pwedeng pagsamahin. Halimbawa, yung career domain at saka yung personal and social domain, hindi yung pwedeng pagsamahin. Pero kung ang competency indicators ay parehas na sa career domain, then pwede yung pagsamahin. For instance, ito. Yung MELCs natin is to determine the importance of oneself as part of the family and community, exhibit self-discipline, manage personal changes towards self-appreciation. So ano yung mga learning objectives niya? So naglagay tayo ng 3 learning objectives just to address these things. And then the learning objectives have to be translated or have to be tracked doon sa mga activity ng homeroom guidance module. Una, yung let's try this. Ano yung let's try this? This is for learning for objective 1. Basically, ito yung motivation, ano? And then yung learning objective 2 na nakita siya sa you can do it. This is the main activity. And then doon sa what I have learned, ito yung sa evaluation part. Then yung let's explore this, ito yung nandoon sa application part, no? And then, kaya ina-address niya yung objective number 3. And then, yung objective 1 to 3, sa keep in mind, ito yung lecturette part. Pag sabing lecturette part, ito yung mini discussion about the topic. Practical discussion. Kung napapansin nyo, kung nakita nyo na yung mga module, ginawa nating practical sa mga bata at hindi very academic ang dating. No? Para naman hindi nila ma-feel na parang, ano ba ito, parang ano din, parang I have to digest each. Ang sinasabi lang natin, these are practical applications of what they can actually do. So dun sa let's try this, kung napansin nyo, at andito yung module, yung let's try this motivation, no? Kung napansin nyo, ito yun, may instruction tayo. And then yung you can do it, this is the main activity. Remember ha, from the motivation, which is let's try this, pupunta ang bata sa main activity na you can do it. Okay? Kasi hindi pwedeng main activity agad. Alam niyo naman sa learning curve, dapat lagi nag-start sa motivation to entice or to engage the student. Then from the main activity, we have of course after ng main activity, nandun yung lecturette or yung sinasabing keep in mind. And then after nun, what I have learned, this is the evaluative portion of the module. Okay? And then yung let's explore this is the application part. So we already evaluated what they have learned. And then we let them apply what they learned. Okay, dito sa let's explore this. Kung napansin nyo, may mga suggested time allotment. Kaya yan suggested just to promote flexibility kasi nga alam naman natin na hindi lahat ay hindi lahat ay the same ang pacing. Okay? And then naglagay tayo ng gabay sa magulang. Kung napansin nyo, nakatagalog o Pilipino po yung gabay sa magulang to be inclusive. So ito po, binabasa dapat to ng magulang para alam niya kung paano niya tutulungan yung kanyang anak o ang kanyang estudyante. Mula kinder hanggang grade 12, may ganito po tayo. At sa kinder to grade 3, dahil hindi pa yan masyado nakakabasa, mahalaga na basahin sa kanila ng magulang o ng nearest adult nila na nakakabasa, syempre. Okay, so I think that would be all for my part. Thank you so much. And I